Good evening, I'm Prasad and you're watching KiniNews. Soon we'll get a clearer picture on the Littoral Combat Ship project scandal and those behind it. So far, they may be hiding behind the fact that the government report is classified. Well, that's about to change. Where will those responsible hide after this, especially with the Prime Minister making it clear he's not about to protect anyone? The Cabinet has proposed that the report by a forensic audit on the government procurement of 6 littoral combat ships for the Navy be declassified. In a statement today, Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the government guarantees that a transparent investigation will be carried out. However, he said the process must first be advised by the Attorney General and Auditor General. The Prime Minister stressed that those responsible for the LCS scandal will not be spared. According to him, the MACC has also been urged to speed up its investigation into the matter. He added that should it find solid evidence, the Attorney General will be required to drag all those responsible to court to face the music. He said he also summoned Attorney General Idris Harun and MACC Chief Azam Baki after the Cabinet meeting today and ordered them to take immediate action as per the Cabinet's decision. The government has paid 6 billion ringgit since 2013, but no ship has been delivered. The first ship was supposed to arrive in 2019. Now, you may recall a ship launching ceremony back in 2017, but the littoral combat ships are still being constructed. How was it launched several years ago? That's because apparently it's normal practice to launch incomplete projects. The littoral combat ship that was launched in August 2017 was not a dummy. This is according to former Navy Chief Ahmad Kamarulzaman Ahmad Badaruddin. In a statement today, Ahmad Kamarulzaman, who was the Navy Chief between May 2016 and November 2018, said the ship was incomplete. He explained that at the time, LCS-1 was under construction and it was not a dummy. He added that it included a mast which was now rumored to be fake. Ahmad Kamarulzaman said he was compelled to clarify matters because of the widespread rumors that the launch by Raja Permaisuri of Perak, Tuanku Zara Salim, was a ruse to deceive the public. Scrutiny over whether the Raja Permaisuri had launched a fake ship emerged after the Public Accounts Committee established that the ship was only 44% complete as of this year. Contractor Boosted Naval Shipyard, under questioning by the PAC, conceded that the company had put up a temporary mast to make the ship look good for the launch before taking it down again. Boosted Heavy Industries Corporation CEO Sharifuddin Zaini Al Manaf went a step further to state that the temporary mast was a waste of money. The cost of the mast was 400,000 ringgit and was kept in a store when the duo testified before the PAC in December 2021. Meanwhile, Ahmad Kamarulzaman said it was a normal practice for navies all over the world to launch their ships even before they were completed. Not only are the ships incomplete, Boosted Naval Shipyard used 400 million ringgit from what they were paid by the government to pay off old debts. Armed Forces Pension Fund Chief Executive Officer Ahmad Nazim Abdul Rahman said Boosted Naval Shipyard was forced to use part of the funds meant for the littoral combat ships procurement to pay off bad debts of another old project. This is because Boosted Holdings Berhad, whose biggest shareholder is LTAT, was compelled at one point to take over the debt-ridden PSC Industries Berhad, a company that failed to deliver on a 9 billion ringgit contract to build 6 offshore patrol vessels. The PAC issued a report on August 4th highlighting the problems that led to the failure of the LCS procurement initiative. One of the issues they pointed out was part of the payment by the government was not used in the procurement of the LCS, but 400 million ringgit was used by BNS to settle the bad debt of another old project. That is the new generation petrol vessel. The NGPV contract was awarded in 1998 and Boosted Holdings took over PSC in 2005. Nazim also affirmed last night that he had visited the Lumut shipyard and that the construction of the LCS is ongoing. He claimed that the contract states all 6 ships need to be built concurrently instead of constructing and delivering them one by one. Nazim also defended the 6 billion ringgit that has already been paid even though not a single ship is completed, saying the money was spent to buy machinery needed for the ship's construction. Najib's final appeal in the SRC case is happening this month, and now he has withdrawn the allegations he made against Judge Nazlan Ghazali. Najib Abdul Razak has withdrawn allegations of bribery against Mohammad Nazlan Mohammad Ghazali, the then High Court judge who convicted the former Prime Minister in the SRC international case. Najib made the withdrawal in his further affidavit in reply filed at the Federal Court on August 5th. Najib said he categorically withdraws any interpretation of what he said, which may be taken to mean that Justice Mohammad Nazlan was investigated for possible bribery. At another point in the affidavit, Najib also said, quote, "As regard to the allegations of bribery, I again state that I withdraw them." However, Najib continued to insist that there is additional evidence which will show serious conflict of interest by the judge, and said this was why he was seeking a retrial of the entire SRC case. Najib was responding to the prosecution's affidavit last month, which mentioned that Najib's purported personal knowledge of MACC investigations of Justice Nazlan cannot be true. This is as the independent enforcement agency would not disclose confidential information relating to an ongoing investigation, the prosecution contended. Recently, the prosecution in Najib's SRC case claimed that the allegations by Najib against the trial judge, Nazlan, who is now a Court of Appeal judge, were a desperate attempt to nullify the trial. On April 21st this year, Nazlan made a police report over an article published by a news portal titled "Judge Mohammad Nazlan being investigated for unexplained 1 million ringgit in his bank account." The judge denied the accusation, describing it as a malicious intent to undermine his credibility as a Court of Appeal judge and disrupt the justice system. In 2020, Nazlan convicted and sentenced Najib to 12 years in jail and 210 million ringgit fine for misappropriating 42 million ringgit of SRC international funds. The case is at the final appeal stage in the Federal Court. Now back to the Navy ship scandal. A lawmaker has asked Najib to explain why the main contractor was given a sweetheart deal.
DAP lawmaker Teo Ni Ching has urged Najib Abdul Razak to explain why he gave favorable treatment to the main contractors of the Navy's Littoral Combat Ships when he was the finance minister. In a statement today, the DAP Publicity Secretary said late delivery charges for each LCS were capped at 180 million ringgit. Teo said the Public Accounts Committee noted that the federal government was entitled to claim liquidated ascertained damages of 116 million ringgit by December 31, 2019, because the delivery of the first LCS was already 245 days late. By extrapolating this number to July 31st this year, Kulai MP Teo noted that the LAD would be as high as 582 million ringgit. Teo asked for the rationale of inserting a cap of 180 million ringgit in the contract, which only benefits Boosted Naval Shipyard and puts the government in a very detrimental position. Teo also urged Najib to explain why he ignored the Malaysia Treasury Circular No. 5 of 2007, which states that a maximum 25% of the contract sum, or 10 million ringgit, whichever is lower, could be paid as advance payment in any contract. However, she noted 1.36 billion ringgit was paid by the government to BNS as advance payment, way above the limit allowed under the Finance Ministry's financial guideline. Last week, the PAC tabled its report on the procurement of the LCS to the Dewan Rakyat, which highlighted numerous issues in the project. It was approved in 2011. At the time, Ahmad Zahid Hamidi was the defense minister while Najib was both prime minister and finance minister. After the report was released, Najib had blamed the late delivery of the ships on the previous Pakatan Harapan government for freezing the project in late 2019.
Now let's take a look at what happened during the trial against Lim Guan Eng today. 300 million ringgit is a lot more than 80 million ringgit. So how is the land valuation this far off? A director of a private property valuer testified today that 2 plots of land linked to the 6.3 billion ringgit Penang Undersea Tunnel project are worth 300 million ringgit. This contrasted the testimonies of 2 government officers from the State Valuation and Property Services Department back in May that the land was only worth 80 million ringgit. During the related corruption trial against former Penang Chief Minister Lim Guan Eng this morning, Tan Gai Eng, the director of GE Tan Valuers Sendirian Berhad, testified that Lot 702 is valued at 135 million ringgit, while Lot 713 is at 165 million ringgit. The witness added that his firm was hired by Ewan Berhad for the evaluation of both properties. Founded by the late Yu Swee Keng, Ewan was part of the joint venture with consortium Zenit Beijing Urban Construction Group's Nuran Berhad over the project. On December 16th last year, the Sessions Court allowed the prosecution's bid to tender in court the statement that Yu gave to the MACC during the investigation. The businessperson, who was supposed to have been called as the 15th prosecution witness, died after he reportedly fell from a luxury condominium in Jalan Kelawe, Penang on October 5th last year. The election isn't far, just don't ask me how far, but to give you an idea, Sabah UMNO is already in the process of identifying its candidates. Sabah UMNO Liaison Committee Chairperson Bung Mokhtaruddin said each division in the state has been asked to submit 5 names that have potential to be fielded as candidates in GE15. Bung Mokhtar said the list of names should be submitted immediately to the state UMNO and that the proposed individuals should be reputable, meet the criteria and be acceptable to the people. He said the vulnerability factor should be given priority in the final criteria for the candidate selection, even if the proposed name does not hold a major position at the party division level. He said the candidate's personality is also the main element seen by the people, and it should also be the main criteria for BN and UMNO. He added that the list submitted will be assessed by a special committee in addition to reports from relevant agencies, which are also assessed to determine if the candidate is qualified. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Prasad. Thank you for watching.